It's time to give the first season of Andor a midnight meeting ranking. We have to do it. We have to give the midnight meeting ranking to the first season of Andor. I want everybody that's watching this. When I said that, there was a little glimmer of light that happened behind Steve. It's like a little light glimmer. It's not going to happen again, Steve. You can't recreate magic, okay? You should know that by now. How you said Kukulkan Khan earlier.
Yeah, because that was magic.
It was. All right. You guys know what the Midnight Meter is. Midnight Meter is the way we quantify what we think is amazing. It goes from 1 to 10, like a regular meter goes. However, 11 and 12 are reserved for things that exceed 10, 12 being for things that are incredibly groundbreaking. Who wants to start with their rating? I'll start. 12. Nobody wants to start. Everybody wants to build. Everybody wants to build it up. I'll start.
Right? We've talked a lot about the virtues of the show. We talked about what it means not only for the Star Wars universe, but for us, right? And how this show is special. How it's, changed the way we see Star Wars, how it's changed the way we see television, especially IP television in this day and age, how when we go back and we look at all the IP television shows that we've seen over the last few years, how this one stands above all the rest of them and then some. So for that, I have to give it a 6. No, I'm just playing. It's a 12. It's a clear 12. It's, without a doubt, the best thing all year. 12 with no room for anything else, frankly, in my opinion.
Steve? 12. It's a 12. I don't know if we want to relitigate the cultural shift in what IP storytelling can be, but I definitely think that I don't think a show based, not even so much based on a property that we know of, but IP storytelling is very much about the easily identifiable. Not to say lowest common denominator, not to say pandering sometimes, but when we think about stories like these,
it's comfort food.
We look for the easily recognizable. We look for the heroes. We look for the things that are easy, kind of. Mm-hmm. And this show is not easy. This isn't a second screen experience show. This isn't something that you can just say that you watched and then will go in one ear and out the other. You can't really ignore this. You shouldn't ignore this because this is something that I didn't even know that I wanted and I needed desperately. We all needed desperately. It's why we were so excited to do something like this, to be on a podcast like this, to talk about the things that we love. And I don't think that there's ever been a show based on a thing that we've loved for decades that can completely change what we think something can be. And that's this show. That's Andor. And that's a 12 for me.
Well, guys, I think it is time. I think it is history making on the Midnight Boys. This is the first time, I believe, we are giving a new show or movie a 12 across the board. So
resounding, like unanimous.
A unanimous 12. This is history making. I don't know when we're going to get our next unanimous 12, but the show is that good. But I want to ask you guys then. We gave this all a 12, and Steve, you brought this up. Do we think Hollywood learns the right lessons from this? Because I think I'll let Van have the floor because I think I'm more so on Van's side in terms of I actually don't think the machine is going to take the lessons it should. But Van, I kind of want to hear why you're a little bit I don't think they will.
They won't because they
That's
won't.
sad, but I think you're probably right.
100% correct.
They won't. And one of the reasons why they won't is because they're going to be shows like Ahsoka show is going to be much bigger.
Yeah,
sure.
Mandalorian season.
And we
hope that all that's good.
Oh, no, I'm sure it will be good. I'm not saying that it won't be good. But what I'm saying is that this is kind of, this would steer Star Wars storytelling in a completely new direction. And this direction isn't what they're trying to do. Now, what I hope is that this is a part of what they're trying to do. Because I don't think anybody would be asking for all of Star Wars to be Andor. I don't think that would be the thing. I think that what people are asking for is a little bit more of this. And I'm skeptical about how much they're prepared to do that. Disney has a chokehold on our childhood. Like, you see the Disney thing. Like, I'm in a movie and I like to keep telling you guys, I see that goddamn castle at the beginning of the thing. And I'm like, I want to go live there. I want to go into the castle. How about that? A little bird fly by the castle. You know what I mean? I want to be in that realm. It's a castle in the middle of a swamp. You can't even get there. There's no roads. How do you get there? You got to get there through Disney magic. Tune it up again. Okay. So, and that makes us captive in a way. And that makes us that in a way that's very specific and peculiar almost. And prisoners don't decide their lunch menu. You hope you get a good warden with some good food. And so for me, I'm looking at this show and I'm thinking all the things that they did, but I'm also seeing sort of a tepid reaction from the fan base, which makes me wonder how much they really want the things that they say that they want. And I'm not scolding anyone. I'm just saying that Andor should be on the tip of everyone's tongue. The show is that good. You know, the show is that good. We should be talking about Andor the way we talked about The Bear. Maybe we are. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. But the show is fantastic, and it opens up so many amazing and interesting possibilities for Star Wars. This is the last thing I'll say before I take up too much oxygen. But I didn't know that I could be this invested in, a pre-Return of the Jedi storyline like this, like a fight against the Empire storyline, going back to something that we've pretty much already covered. Mm-hmm. You know, that space after Return, of course, because there's so much that we don't know, the space after Return, before Force Awakens, and then obviously there's a whole frontier of stories, that exists after The Last Skywalker. But I didn't know that I could reinvest like this, and the show was able to make me do it. So, I hope that they learned a lesson, and I hope that they'll empower more creatives that are daring like this, but they got toys to sell.
What were you saying? No, I mean, Van, brought it up. It's just the fact that, not a lot of people are watching this show, right? It's an incredible, achievement in television, but it's not bringing in the viewers. That's something that, we talked about earlier in the run, but as far as we know, has not changed or improved. And so now you have to look at it like, cool, and especially in the streaming era, and Disney, just they've been through it the last couple quarters too. If anybody's been paying attention to that, they've been losing money, like crazy. So you're not bringing in, if the show's not bringing in Disney Plus subscribers, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it something that's worth putting more money into? Like, hey, we want more of this, despite the fact that nobody's subbing for Disney Plus for it. You know what I mean? And so it's a cautious thing to think about in terms of, yeah, this is great television, but will we see more of it if it's not really generating revenue for the company? And that sucks to think about, but that's how these things go. But I really, really hope that they do look at this and go, yeah, this is what people want to see, despite the fact that it's not, registering on everyone's radar. I hope that, somebody up there is smart enough to be like, this is what we have to do. Hopefully, come Golden Globe season, come Emmy season, it wins awards and people start spinning it, and then we can, have the conversation like, oh, Andor was always the best television show of 2022. And be like, yeah, Midnight Boys were there first. We knew it, but ultimately I hope that whoever is in charge, Bob Iger just got back in business. Hopefully he's, reading his daily email updates. It's like, Andor is the show. We got to make more content, Star Wars content like this.
So, I want to be positive really quick, because I think we do this thing with Andor where we're like, no one's watching Andor, or not enough people are talking about Andor. But I think what's actually happening is like look at the last year or so of Marvel. Marvel's underperformed. Like, yeah, people may have watched certain Marvel things more than they watched Andor, but in terms of like the bar they set, it's like, it's not like those shows have been cresting upwards in terms of popularity after like WandaVision and Loki and all these things. Same thing with Star Wars. Star Wars can't even, Star Wars is having trouble just figuring out what they want to do with the movies. It's not like Obi-Wan was this like runaway success where people are like, I'm rewatching Obi-Wan every day. So I think sometimes we have to contextualize when we talk about Andor what we want, where I'm like, it's not actually important to me whether Andor got to everybody. It's about, is it speaking to the creators who are going to make these stories in the next 5, 10, 15 years? Are they going to find something special in this? What I mean by that is, like, every story should not be a Tony Gilroy story, but every story should have the Tony Gilroy essence of, we're going to take these characters seriously. We're going to take the writing seriously. We're going to believe that our audience is smart enough to go on this journey with us. Everything cannot be Avengers Endgame level big or WandaVision or Mandalorian, but I do think that you need this type of art in the ecosystem to be like, hey, just because this is a Marvel show, that's not an excuse to keep pumping them out at such a clip that they don't have the time to really consider it. And I want to be clear, this isn't me saying like, oh, all of these creators are lesser than Tony Gilroy. No, I think it's like all these creators don't have the budget, time crunch. They're trying to do the best that they can. And maybe you get more Andors if Star Wars and Marvel in general are like, hey, let's be a little bit more considered. Let's like empower the creators.